double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including that which came before them, taught us this truth, and shalom and salutations to all the brothers that push the word, truth and sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David, and the brother Yahshua back with the WW3 Daily update, and shalom and salutations to you. We're going to make this quick. Joel 3 and 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Okay? This is what we're seeing. What? Prepare war. Right? Who are the mighty men? Who are the men of war? The armies. Okay? Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, gather yourselves together around about. This next part deals with the angels. World War III alert yesterday as Putin targets who? I thought Putin was over there fighting Ukraine. No. Putin's over there fighting NATO and the EU and the US. In new direct threat, Putin targets US, in new direct threat. Okay? President Putin is warning that the U.S. is trying to set up a NATO force in the Asia Pacific and provoking a war with China. He called Nancy Pelosi rude and irresponsible and warns of the global reset that would bring about a unilateral world power. Okay, so all of this is about the NWO. And what's going on? Putin is fighting against the World Economic Forum, which is the NWO. So Putin turned on his agreement with the New World Order, right? Because he wants him and China or whoever to lead it, and they're not on board with the original alliance. This is what we'll watch. So let's listen to a little bit of this.
Let's dive into today's top story, shall we? And let's talk about Vladimir Putin versus the World Economic Forum. So there's a conference happening right now in Moscow, the Moscow conference, where President Putin spoke just this morning. And he had a couple of things to say about the World Economic Forum, among other things, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He also accused most of the West of provoking China. And he talked about this sort of war complex that, interestingly enough, is something that we talk about a lot on this show.
By the way, we should mention that zero coverage of this will be on CNN. Like, if you see this speech by Vladimir Putin on CNN, I will fall over. Because no, they're wall-to-wall coverage right now on President Trump, of course, right? Or if you see this on the BBC, I would be shocked. If you see this on any of the mainstream media, I would be stunned. So
apparently what they're doing is they're using the Trump situation to divert your attention away from we're going to war, World War III. Right? They put the Pelosi thing out there, then they went straight and raided, so to speak, Mar-a-Lago. Now everybody's worried about that. What is that? That's going to start the Civil War here, and nobody's going to be looking at the greater World War III. And we're gonna, I'm going to read these subtitles in Putin's speech, and then after that, we'll get a couple precepts and close out.
Basically, Vladimir Putin destroying the World Economic Forum in the unipolar order, instead saying flat out, countries need to be sovereign. People need to have their own individual identities. Take a listen to, with subtitles here, what Vladimir Putin had to say at the Moscow conference.
Ситуация на Украине показывает, что США пытаются...
So let's just read it. The Ukrainian situation shows that the U.S. wants to prolong this conflict. This is just what they do in provoking the potential for conflict in Asia, Africa, and South America. As we know, recently they tried to add fuel to the fire in the Asian South Pacific region. Asia, Africa, South America, those are his allies, okay? Libya and Ethiopia. And then down here, they got Nicaragua, Cuba, The U.S. adventure to Taiwan is not just the actions of one irresponsible politician. It is a conscious and targeted strategy of the U.S. to destabilize and chaoticize the region and the world. It is a rude demonstration of their disrespect towards other countries and their international obligations. We see in Pelosi's visit a thoroughly planned provocation. It is evident that Western globalist elites are attempting to distract their own citizens from very dire socioeconomic problems, living standards falling, unemployment, poverty, and deindustrialization. See, I said I haven't watched this yet, but that's the whole thing. Take it back a hair. That's the whole thing right here. We see in Pelosi's visit a thoroughly planned provocation. It's evident that Western globalist elites are attempting to distract their own citizens. Okay? America is distracting their own citizens from the very dire socioeconomic problems, living standards falling, unemployment, poverty, and deindustrialization. They're bringing in the fourth industrial revolution. Okay? They're making everybody poor. They're actually destroying America as a whole. And who's mad? Okay, the maggots are mad. All right? They're mad as hell. They're going to use them to get this thing cracking over here. And again, to camouflage or, what is it? Distract, right, the U.S. citizens from the greater World War III. See what it says. They would like to blame their own faults onto other countries, Russia, China, who are standing up for their own point of view. We are building a sovereign policy that does not bow to the, can't read the dictates of something. Here we go. So you see what's going on here. Putin made an agreement long ago to be part of
So
this.
a couple of things stand out there. He mentioned Nancy Pelosi and specifically called her irresponsible and rude. He said it is not, this visit to Taiwan was not just one irresponsible politician. It was altogether a rude gesture.
He had a strategy, a targeted strategy.
Yes.
And again, why then does the Senate delegation fly? And by the way, this afternoon, China ramping up all sorts of military exercises as we speak, literally right now, thanks to this latest Senate delegation flying into Taiwan. Targeted strategy to provoke China. And that's exactly what's happening. And the fact that you even have Henry Kissinger, war criminal, warmonger, saying the exact same thing. So they're on the same page. Who would ever have thought that Vladimir Putin and Henry Kissinger would be on the same page?
Right.
But I mean, he talks about this hegemony, right? This unipolar idea, which is this globalist identity, which is this idea that Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum and all of these unelected billionaires and some elected have come together and are trying to direct power under one, I don't know what's the best way to describe this, an unelected body. They're going to tell countries how to live. So you might have grown soybeans for generations in your country. Well, we're done with you growing soybeans. We're going to tell you now, because of this new world order, that you're not growing soybeans anymore. You're part of the unimind, the unipolar order. So now you're going to be just growing coffee. That's it. Doesn't matter how your economy will suffer. It doesn't matter what land we will take away from you, like we're doing to the farmers in the Netherlands and all across in Canada and all across the world right now. We're going to consolidate power and we're going to run the show. And that's exactly what Vladimir Putin was condemning and targeting and saying this is not going to happen. As we align our BRICS nations, he talked also about unifying and creating a new gold standard away from the World Economic Forum standard, which is a corrupt standard of measuring gold, saying, look, now that the BRICS nations are moving towards a commodity-based, gold-based standard for our currency, we're not going to use your corrupt way of measuring gold anymore. We're going to do it our way, where we're actually going to measure it authentically so that these economies can run properly.
Right, and you can see just clearly these lines of unity being drawn across the globe, right? So with these types of words and these types of actions, sure, the United States might be able to expand NATO to a few small European nations, but it will solidify the BRICS nations, which is even more dangerous, a formidable of an enemy.
Now, before we get to, I just want to kind of paint a picture here about the World Economic Forum piece of this, because, and I want to get to Klaus Schwab in a second, because Western journalists, and I see it sometimes in our chat from people who will kind of say, well, they're all a part of the WEF. Putin is a part of the WEF as well, and that's just flat out wrong.
No.
And Western journalists and Western media will try to portray it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, journalists who understand this and who have been covering it for a long time understand that that's absolutely not the case. Yes, he could be invited to speak, which we'll get to in a moment, but that doesn't mean he's a part of it. In fact, it's the exact opposite. But something interesting happened just nearby where he was speaking. So he was speaking at the Moscow conference, and I thought that this was a fascinating piece of news, because the conference was just across the street or nearby, was showing off at this military conference, showing off weapons, the Russian military. And so if you walk through the hall at this conference, nearby where President Putin was speaking, two separate conferences, what do you see here? Those are U.S. weapons. Those are U.S. weapons that are both captured and bought on the black market. And they're being featured at this weapons conference. And basically, according to the people who were there, saying they're being shown off as an example of what not to buy and what not to use, because they've either been captured or they've been destroyed on the field of battle. See that American flag?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
an American howitzer. And there's also M77.
Can I just ask an ignorant question, though? Like,
Okay.
It is possible that someone could have just painted that on it, right?
Propaganda. All right, so you see what's going on. We'll end it there. The thing is, yeah. Let's see. We'll get one and done. We will be in straits. This is Job. Let's see where we'll start here. And this is dealing with the New World Order, because all right, Putin might not be part of the WEF, but he's part of the New World Order. They all are. Okay, you can't have a world order unless everybody agreed to it. But then there's factions, and the factions are fighting over who's going to rule. So, start right here. He's eating on riches, and he shall vomit them up again. The Most High shall cast them out of his belly. See his belly? He shall suck the poison of asp, the viper's tongue shall slay him. He shall not see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of honey and butter, that which he labored for. Okay? His labor is going to other countries and taking and stealing and murdering, and shall not swallow it down. Shall not swallow what down? The riches. Okay? All right? He's laboring for his new world order. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein. It's not going to come to fruition, because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor. That's Israel, the poor. Because he hath violently taken away the house which he builded not. We can just say America right there. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. There shall none of his meat be left. There shall no man look for his goods. And here's the point. In the fullness of his sufficiency, which is right now, when he's at the top of his game, about to bring in his new world order, guess what? Everybody's going to turn on him. He shall be in straits, in a difficult position. Every hand of the laborers, wicked, look that word up, shall come upon him. When he's about to fill his belly, bring in that new world order, which is what they're right now trying to do. The Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. How is he doing that? He shall flee from the iron weapon. The bow of steel shall strike him through. That's the missiles. Who is he going to send? Let's get Ezekiel real quick. He turned Vlad. Vlad's part of the New World Order, but he wants to run that shit. He turned him. Okay? Ezekiel 38:4. And I will turn thee back. Who is thee? Thee is Vlad. Right here, Magog. Okay? I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaw, and I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Okay? This is what we see going on. Right? And then he gets into his allies. Right? This is what we see going on. So keep your eye open. We're being distracted with MAGA Trump and FBI, and from the fact that they're burning up food processing plants, and we're pouring water into the desert one moment and flooding Central America. It's crazy, right? We're in a drought. There's a fire over here. You can dump all of that water into Kentucky, but you can't put out the fire. Okay, so very interesting times we're in. We hope that the electorate edified you brothers and few sisters. With that, we're going to say shalom.